Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular meeting of council. I'll begin with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we live, work, and gather on the traditional and unceded territory of the Algonquin people, specifically the Temiskaming First Nation. We recognize the presence of the Temiskaming First Nation in our community since time immemorial and honor their long history of welcoming many nations to this beautiful territory and uphold and uplift their voice and values. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And roll call, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. All members are present.
Review or revisions or deletions to the agenda. We do have an item deemed as time sensitive under bylaws. It's an addition of a building inspector appointment as bylaw 2023-014 with the numbering of subsequent bylaws adjusted accordingly. Approval of the agenda. I do have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the agenda as amended. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Seconder. Thanks, Councillor Ducharme. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item 5, disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature.
Thank you. I did receive a declaration of conflict of interest from Councillor Peltier-Levine, who has declared an indirect conflict of interest on Administrative Report RS 001-2023, Facility Fee Waiver Policy, and corresponding bylaw 2023-013, as her employer will make requests for free use of city facilities from time to time. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other declarations at this time? Moving on to item 6, review and adoption of the council minutes. I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that City Council approves the following minutes as printed. A, the regular meeting of council held on January the 17th, 2023. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Foley. Seconder. Thanks, Councillor Graydon. Discussion. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item 7, we don't have any public meetings pursuant to the Planning Act, Municipal Act, and other statutes. This brings us to the first question and answer period. Is there any questions? Sure. If you want to just approach the mic, name and address, please.
Ivan Ajarni, Radley Hill, New Liskeard. I'm just here to ask a simple question. I emailed Public Works in November of 2022. Have not received a response yet concerning a traffic sign that was installed in front of my house in summer of 2021 with a train ahead sign. And I've researched it. He told me it was as per ONTC guidelines. I talked to ONTC's signals manager. He has reassured me that if the sign is creating a traffic issue, the city either removes the snowbank that's causing the line of sight because I can't see the traffic coming down the hill, or to raise the sign up higher. I then have not received anything since November of 2022 from the Public Works Department. I've also inquired with the Ontario Traffic Manual, and it indicates if the train or traffic is slower moving, not high volume, it probably doesn't need to be there. The signal lights are fine. It's a train ahead sign that's impeding the vision. I'm just wondering if there's anything we can do about that, because it's still, now the snowing's building up again, and it's causing a vision issue from my driveway, and I hate to see anything happen that shouldn't happen. I just like to know who's liable if there's any issues on that.
Thanks for your question, Ivan. I know there has been some correspondence going back between yourself, Public Works, and I know that particular piece of property, we don't have an agreement with ONTC to really do anything on that piece of property. I did see a few of the photos with regards to your concern, with regards to, safety on there. We will take a look and see, what can be done. When we talk safety, I think those flashing lights, I think we can all agree, is an excellent addition, to providing safety, along there. And, absolutely, we don't want to create any safety hazards either. So, we will take a look at it. I know Mitch has, responded back to you a couple of times.
Yes.
And we will have, a look. Unfortunately, with the winter, and I think snow is creating part of the problem.
That's right.
in that area. So, with that, we'll take your...
If you don't mind, like I said, ONTC signals manager has referred to either move the sign up, leave the signal lights there, and move just the traffic sign up to slow the light, or remove it totally as per the Ontario traffic manual.
Yeah. So I'm not in a position to speak, to that. That's something we'll share that information, with Public Works, and we'll respond back to you appropriately.
All right.
Okay, thanks for the question. You're welcome. Is there any... Oh, sorry.
Quick comment. Yeah, Mr. Desjardins, thanks for that. And again, I apologize for, we talked before the meeting, I apologize for the email issue. I know you had emailed me, and I took a while to respond as I was getting a new email system up and running. But anyway, I just wanted to apologize for the delay in that response, so thanks. Yeah.
Councillor Ducharme?
I just wanted, I know there's correspondence and I think it's being looked at, but just so I understand, the issue is that the height of the sign, the way the snow backs up, blocks your view. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Before 2021, there was an older sign that was higher up on the hill, and since the resurfacing of Radley's Hill, they've moved the sign in accordance to ONTC guidelines. But now that it's down lower and it's a bigger sign, it is obstructing my traffic from the traffic coming downhill. Yes.
Okay. Thanks, just for clarifying that.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, moving on to item 9, presentations. We have none. Item 10A, communications. Sheila Randall, the Earlton Temiskaming Airport, and that's the manager's report for November and December 2022, and we received that for information purposes. 10B, Sheila Randall, Earlton Temiskaming Airport, 2023. We received it in 2023, and it's December 2022 financials. We received that for information purposes. And item C, correspondence from Cecil Starr, the area forestry technician from Hydro One, and just sharing with us some vegetation maintenance program that they're doing with area maps, and we received that for information purposes as well. I do have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores agrees to deal with communication items 10A through C in accordance with the agenda of references. And can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson. And a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Peltier-Levin. Discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item 11, Committees of Council, Community and Regional. I do have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that the following minutes be accepted for information. Item A, minutes of the Temiskaming Shores Public Library Board meeting held on October the 26th, 2022. And B, the draft minutes of the Temiskaming Transit Committee meeting held on January the 17th, 2023. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Seconder? Councillor Ducharme. Discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item 12, committees of council, internal departments. We have none. And item 13, reports by members of council.
Okay.
Councillor Wilson?
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor LaFerriere. Just wanted to touch base with a sort of a condensed version of the report that I had submitted in the package. So we attended the Roma Conference, Rural Ontario Municipalities Association in Toronto. Mayor LaFerriere, Councillor Ducharme, Amy Vickery, and myself, and it was an excellent conference. Just a couple of notes I wanted to make here. First, wanted to talk a little bit about the opening keynote speaker, Jesse Wente. He's an author and First Nation arts journalist, and he had an excellent presentation on truth and reconciliation and how there's some issues around the wording of that. And he's an author of Unreconciled, Healing Truth and Making Meaningful Change. And it was a very, very interesting presentation that gave you sort of a different perspective on a better perspective of what he told specifically about the story of his grandmother in residential schools, and it was a very, very interesting and thought-provoking presentation. There was also presentations on the 23rd. The morning program included Chief Stacey Laforme of the Mississaugas of the First Credit, who welcomed delegates, as well as Robin Jones, who's the chair of Roma. Honourable Doug Ford, Premier, spoke, talked about a number of areas of concern to him. He talked about the electrical vehicle industry, transit, food production being vital to Ontario, and he talked about better home care programs. Honourable Sylvia Jones, the Ontario Minister of Health, spoke about land ambulances, particularly in Northern Ontario. She commented on the efforts to bring more internationally trained nurses to Ontario as well through Learn and Stay programs. The Honourable Goody Hutchins, who's the Federal Minister of Rural Economic Development, spoke about federal investments in rural and Canada, including rural transit and high-speed internet. And lastly, of the ministers was the Honourable Lisa Thompson, the Ontario Minister of Agriculture and Food, who also discussed the importance of agriculture to the rural economy. And then there were a number of sessions that I attended on, one of them was a very interesting one on innovative practices to attract and retain talented staff to rural municipalities. We're in such great shape because we have such great, talented staff, so, we don't have to worry about it, right? But it was an excellent presentation about how we get good people to work at our municipalities, and as I said, we're pretty fortunate here at Temiskaming Shores. But we all get older and move on, and so we have to think about replacing people over time. Merritt Stiles, the new leader of the official opposition, NDP, spoke as well. Also Robin Jones, the chair of Roma, spoke as well about the advocacy that Roma does, including broadband and connectivity, growth management issues, rural housing, aggregates legislation, Rural and Northern Economic Fund, amongst other areas that Roma has advocated for over the years. We had a delegation, and I believe Mayor LaFerriere will touch briefly on that as well, but myself, Mayor LaFerriere, Councillor Ducharme, and City Manager Amy Vickery attended a Ministry Transportation delegation with the Minister of Transportation, the Honourable Carolyn Mulroney, and her staff, and we discussed the concerns with safety on Highway 11 at the Highway 11 and 65 intersection in Temiskaming Shores, and they have agreed to consult with us to a greater level as the planning for that area continues. Attended the trade show, and lastly, The keynote speaker was a Dr. Thomas Homer Dixon, and it was a very interesting presentation as well about the change that we're seeing in our world right now, and some of the challenges associated with that. So that's my report. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Anyone else? I just wanted to take the opportunity to share. Also, Deputy Mayor Danny Whalen was also in attendance.
Sorry, Danny. Sorry.
You owe him $5. And I wanted to start with a highlight and congratulate Councillor Wilson for being elected to the Roma board representing Zone 9, which is absolutely excellent. We did attend 3 delegations. Councillor Wilson shared, the one we had with the Ministry of Transportation. We also had 2 joint delegations with the town of Kirkland Lake, one with the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, really focusing on, what was happening with some of these developments in the unincorporated communities. And we had a great opportunity to share some of our concerns, and we had a few asks, from the ministry. So, hopefully we were heard, and we'll see some movement in that area. The second delegation that we had with the town of Kirkland Lake was with the Minister of the Solicitor General, and it was really focused around our community well-being plan. We've all been ordered to put a plan together, and but there hasn't been any movement with mandating the implementation of the plan, or any discussion around how that would be funded. So we did share our views, and I think they were well received, and hopefully we'll see some movement in that area as well. Mark did share a number of the education sessions that were there, and I think we can all say that the sessions not only were timely, really related to some of the challenges that we're seeing, and we learned and had a lot of takeaways from it. So that's my report. Thanks. Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, thanks. My apologies. I did do a report and I forgot to send it to the clerk. I wasn't registered as City of Temiskaming Shores, but when I'm introduced as a councillor for the city, so I'm still representing the city and felt it important to get a report in. I do want to say that even after as long as the days were, both Minister Clark and Minister Kersner, who we met with, did take the time to acknowledge the city's presentations and how much they appreciated the fact that they were joint. They were precise, to the point. They didn't have a budget fluff. They said, the presentation said, here's what the problem is, what's been created. So they appreciate that, and they just wanted to pass that on. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Councillor Ducharme?
I will be very brief. So I definitely agree with what Councillor Wilson and Mayor LaFerriere and Councillor Whalen said. I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to attend, and for those who've already attended for the knowledge that you shared with me while we were there. Just a couple of things. Of course, congratulations to Councillor Wilson on his election as our Zone 9 representative on the Roma board. I also think it's important to celebrate. Sometimes when we're from a small town, we forget that we have very smart, competent people there. So I wanted to acknowledge that Temiskaming Shores resident and PhD candidate Amanda Mojo was asked and spoke as part of a panel and presented there as part of healthcare in rural municipalities. And I'd just like to congratulate her on her excellent contributions to the wider provincial conversations on this subject. Again, just appreciated the opportunity. We met with lots of many ministers, but also just many individuals who are working in municipalities who are sharing a lot of the same issues we are. So it was a really excellent knowledge gathering opportunity. So.
Thanks, Councillor Ducharme. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Item 14, is there any notice of motions? Seeing none, move on to item 15, new business. 15A, memo number 003-2023-CS, amendment to bylaw 2022-185, community representatives to various committees and boards. I do have a draft resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 003-2023-CS, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend bylaw 2022-185 to appoint community representatives as outlined in the memo to the BIA Board and the Age-Friendly Committee for consideration at the February 7th, 2023 regular Council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Graydon, seconder. Councillor Foley. Discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. 15B, Administrative Report CS-004-2023, Post-Election Accessibility Report. And I do have a draft resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administration Report CS-004-2023 for information purposes. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks. And a seconder? Discussion? Kelly, did you want to just share a few words around the report?
Sure, I don't mind. This was a bit of a crossover report, as some of the work, or most of the work on that accessibility report that was an attachment to that was done by Logan Belanger prior to her leave. So she had done a lot of work on preparing for the election, specifically as it related to accessibility. So as per the requirement, the clerk was to post this post-election accessibility report, just advising everybody what the measures we took and if there were any items that were brought forward of concern. Anything that was brought forward, we addressed prior to the election, but we will go through the whole process again at the next election in 2026, where we make sure our facilities are accessible, our means of voting are accessible, and that we do everything we can to make that process as easy as possible for everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any other questions? All those in favor? That motion is carried. And 15C, Administration Report CS-005-2023, Disposition of Land for E. LaValle. And I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administration Report CS-005-2023. The Council directs staff to complete the disposition of municipal road allowances, being A, Andrew Street on Plan M-67NB, legally identified as 61354-0365, and unnamed street on Plan M-67NB, legally identified as 61354-0553, in accordance with bylaw number 2015-160, and the Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaws to stop and close the above described road allowances and to enter into an offer of purchase and sale agreement in the amount of $2,500 plus all associated costs between the City of Temiskaming Shores as vendor and Edward LaValle as purchaser for consideration at the February 7th, 2023 regular Council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Foley. Seconder? Thanks, Councillor Peltier-Living. Discussion? Councillor Whalen?
Yeah, just quickly, as a reminder, we're often asked when we're out on the street, why we sell property like this at $2,500. What the people don't realize is the city has a responsibility. They have to monitor those properties. If people dump on them, we have to clean them up. So this is an opportunity for the landowner to add to his property and, make it a nice part of the city rather than have the town workers have to run out and monitor and work on it. So I think it's beneficial, and I think it's great anytime staff can work with people like this and dispose of these small pieces of land.
Thanks, Councillor Whelan. Any other comments? All those in favor? That motion is carried. 15D, memo number 001-2023, PPP, the 2022 Fire Department Annual Report. I do have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 001-2023-PPP, the 2022 Fire Department Annual Report for information purposes. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Wilson. Councillor Graydon. Discussion. Steve?
It was my hope the report was fairly self-explanatory, and I wasn't going to go line by line. But I did want to point out a few of the things, particularly the emergency response total hours, the training and meeting hours put in by the volunteers. It's a huge commitment, coming on to 4,500 hours. This is the volunteers, their families, and also their employers who allow them to leave work for emergencies. So I wanted to point that out. I also wanted to point out the efforts of our fire prevention officer with 470 inspections and then public education sessions. Again, a huge commitment. Those were the topics I wanted to point out, but certainly would welcome any questions on the report.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Any questions? Councillor Wilson?
Thanks, Mayor LaFerriere. I've had the opportunity over the last few weeks. I had asked Chief Langford if it'd be all right if I went to each of the halls just to introduce myself as a former firefighter, but also to see the great work that's done at our fire halls. And I just finished at Diamond Hall the other night, and I just want to say, sort of echoing Chief Langford's words in the sense that the volunteer hours that they put in, we appreciate that so much, and the condition in which they keep the equipment is just fabulous, and so I just want to sort of echo your words that we are extremely fortunate to have such great volunteer firefighters in this city. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Any other comments? Councillor Pelche-Living.
I just wanted to thank you for putting together this report, very informative, and thank you for everyone, all the firefighters and their family and their support system for their service. It's really good to see in numbers what is actually done, but it does translate in real life commitment, so thank you very much for all of that.
I'll just, the thanks is, and I know it is, for the volunteers. They're the backbone. They're the ones that make it work. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Item 15E, Administration Report Number PPP-002-2023, the appointment of a volunteer firefighter. I do have a resolution in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administration Report PPP-002-2023, and the Council hereby appoints Helen Duguay as volunteer firefighter to the Temiskaming Shores Fire Department in accordance with the Recruitment and Retention Program. Can I get a mover, please? It's Councillor Wilson. Thanks, Councillor Whelan. Discussion?
Yeah, we're looking to fill a vacancy at Station 1 in Hilleberry here, and we're quite fortunate in that LA comes a fully certified firefighter, so that's very welcome, and he'll be a great addition.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. 15F, memo number 002-2023-PW. It's the amendment to bylaw 2022-051, supply and delivery of liquid calcium. I do have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 002-2023-PW, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend bylaw 2022-051 to extend the agreement with Pollard Distribution for the supply and delivery of liquid calcium for 2023 at a price of 0.363 per liter, plus applicable taxes for consideration at the February 7th, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Foley. Seconder? Thanks, Councillor Pelche-Living. Discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. 15G, memo number 003-2023-PW, amendment to bylaw 2022-072, sidewalk and curb repairs. I do have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 003-2023-PW, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to amend bylaw 2022-072 to extend the agreement with Peterson Construction for sidewalk and curb repairs for 2023 at a price of $1.89 per square meter for sidewalks and $189 per meter for curbs and gutters, plus applicable taxes, for consideration at the February 7th, 2023 regular council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Ducharme. Seconder. Thanks, Councillor Graydon. Discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. 15H, memo number 002-2023-RS, and that's the Halebury Fire Station update. I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 001-2022-RS for information purposes. Oh, sorry, it should be 2023. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Seconded. Councillor Pelche-Living. Discussion? Matt, did you want to just say a few words about the update on the fire station?
Thank you, Mayor LaFerrier. This memo provides update on change orders that have been processed since the last update provided to Council. We're required to provide an update to Council whenever change orders that are within my authority to execute are completed, so that you are informed of what changes have been made to this project. We are at the point where this project will be finishing soon, and so we're excited to take possession of this building and begin to use it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Matt. All those in favor? That motion is carried. I, memo number 003-2023-RS, the appointment of chair for the Climate Change Committee. And I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved that Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of memo number 001-2022-RS for information purpose. That should be 2023. That's okay.
2 in a row. Sorry, Matt.
The Council hereby appoints Councillor Ian Graydon as the Chair of the Climate Change Committee for the 2022-2026 term of council. Discussion? All those in favor? Oh, sorry. Well, if you guys are all in favor, yeah. Thanks, Councillor Foley. Second by Councillor Whalen. Sorry, discussion. All those in favor? That motion's carried. I was just trying to make Kelly feel better. That's good. 15J, Administration Report Number RS-001-2023, and that's the Facility Fee Waiver Policy. I have a motion in front of me. Be it resolved, the Council for the City of Temiskaming Shores acknowledges receipt of Administration Report RS-001-2023, and that Council directs staff to prepare the necessary bylaw to adapt the rental fee waiver policy for consideration at the February 7th, 2023 regular Council meeting. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Whalen. Seconder, thanks, Councillor Wilson. Discussion? Sure, Councillor Whalen.
Yeah, I realize that, staff still has costs involved with all these facilities, but, I believe these go to the rec committee for approval.
Yeah, so right now, Councillor Whalen, because the Recreation Committee, we're looking at making some of the changes going forward, so that committee isn't meeting yet. We're still working on the structure, so...
Yeah. But if they do approve it, many of the groups that they're approving, their contributions to the municipality far exceeds what they're asking for anyway, so I think it's a great policy to have in place.
Yes, I agree. Thank you, Councillor Whalen. Any other comments? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Moving on to bylaws. And I do have a bylaw in front of me. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-013, being a bylaw to adopt a facility fee waiver policy for the City of Temiskaming Shores, be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Seconded by Councillor Foley. Discussion? All those in favor? The motion is carried. And be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-013 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Wilson. Seconder. Coach Levin. Oh, sorry. It wasn't. Yeah. Councillor Whalen. Second that. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Also have a draft resolution number 2023-037. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-006, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2022-185 to appoint community representatives to various committees and boards for the 2022-2026 term of council. Bylaw number 2023-007, being a bylaw to stop up and close a roadway, Andrews Street, on Plan M67NB, legally identified as 613-54-0365. Bylaw number 2023-008, being a bylaw to stop up and close a roadway, unnamed street, on Plan M67NB, legally described as 61354-0553. Bylaw number 2023-009, being a bylaw to authorize the sale of land, Andrews Street, on Plan M-67NB, legally identified as 61354-0365 to Edward LaValle. Bylaw number 2023-010, being a bylaw to authorize the sale of land, unnamed street on Plan M-67NB, legally identified as 61354-0553 to Edward LaValle. Bylaw number 2023-011, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2022-051 to enter into an agreement with Pollard Distribution, Inc. for the supply, delivery, and application of liquid calcium chloride. Bylaw number 2023-012, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2022-072 to enter into an agreement with Pedersen Construction 2013, Inc. for the supply of labor, equipment, and material for concrete sidewalk and curb repair services. Bylaw number 2023-014, being a bylaw to appoint a building inspector, Francis Rivard, and repeal bylaw 2022-165. Bylaw number 2023-015, being a bylaw to appoint a chief building official, Melvin Bursey. Be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Foley. Seconder. Councillor Wayland. Discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-006, 007, 008, 009, 010, 011, 012, 014, and 015 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Thanks, Councillor Ducharme. Seconder. Discussion? All those in favor? And that motion is carried. Takes us to item 17, schedule of council meetings. So A, we have regular meeting of council on February the 21st, 2023 at 6 p.m. and regular meeting of council on March the 7th, 2023 at 6 p.m. This brings us to the second question and answer period. Is there any questions? Thank you. We have no closed session. Moving to item 20, confirming bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-016, being a bylaw to confirm certain proceedings of council of the Corporation of the City of Temiskaming Shores for its regular meeting held on February the 7th, 2023, be hereby introduced and given first and second reading. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Graydon. All those in favor? That motion is carried. It be it resolved that bylaw number 2023-016 be given third and final reading, be signed by the mayor and clerk, and the corporate seal affixed thereto. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Graydon. Councillor Ducharme. Any last discussion? All those in favor? That motion is carried. And item 21, adjournment. Be it resolved, the council hereby adjourns this meeting at 6:45. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Pelche-Living. Seconded by Councillor Wayland. All those in favor? And we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.